So Jeff took the helm roughly 2.5 years ago. What's different today?
It's been a crazy ride, Jeremy. You've been part of this. It's been fun.
Yeah. So when Jeff came into the opportunity to run Simplicity InsurMark, how does putting up a senior leadership team establishment change the dynamics of the company?
First, it's like, I'm at a point in my career and life where things happen personally. I lost a parent, you know that, and you become very reflective. And so it really becomes pushing into other people just as other people mentored me. And I think of the key mentors that I've had, parents that adopted me at 6 weeks old. You think of your family, you think of people that hired you. And it hit me, I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm doing that for the next generation.
Advisors that are listening and they continue to run their business, but they feel like there's a bottleneck. So how do you even go about that process of finding the right people for the right spot on the bus?
I will say, because this Founders Club that we just executed, which happened to be in Houston, the theme hit us, Houston, we have solutions. And we were bouncing ideas back and forth. And all of a sudden, the whole leadership team went, that's it. With this leadership team, to answer your question, we can get more done faster. And our theme around here, I know you're sick of hearing this probably already, but I know you're also part of it. You know, all these ideas come at you, but not all of them are executable. So our theme, E equals execute, get stuff done.
You and Jason took the stage and you talked a little bit about from frustration to freedom.
Yes.
So what is that?
I think it fits an advisor no matter where they are in their career journey.
What you see from your seat, if you were to look at maybe our top 5, what's something that stands out amongst them outside of running a business, something that separates them than probably some people that might not make Founders Club?
Great question. Number one, they know.
Systems work, people fail. Welcome to InsurMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Hauser, and today we have an incredible guest on with us today. We have the president of Simplicity InsurMark, partner and dear friend of Simplicity, Jeff Maxey. How are we doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing okay. We are nimble. We're always moving. A lot of things going on here at Simplicity InsurMark, and we were actually just talking here. So Jeff took the helm roughly 2.5 years ago.
Yep.
Coming into year 3. So what's different today?
It's been a crazy ride, Jeremy. You've been part of this. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So 3 years, great financial growth. So from a financial perspective, thank you to the advisors that do business with us. We're grateful for your business and for your partnership. We're in a heavy growth mode too. So a couple things. I'd always said, hey, if I'm ever given a baton or that becomes my role, there were a couple things that I said that I'd always do, and I did. And you're part of that. You're on one of 7 of our senior leadership team members. And so there's been a heavy focus around leadership. Partly, I'm at a point in my career and life where things happen personally. I lost a parent, you know that, and you become very reflective. And so it really becomes pushing into other people just as other people mentored me. And I think of the key mentors that I've had, parents that adopted me at 6 weeks old, and you become very reflective. You think of your family, my wife, my sweet children. You think of people that hired you. I think of Steve and Becky Kearns and given that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And you think of people that have mentored into you in business and in sales. And it hit me, I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm doing that for the next generation so that one day this company's better off than when it was when I took over. And so that's really become a big focus for me with the leadership team. So if I think of our leadership structure, which you're part of, 5 sales leaders beats 1. So now our sales leadership and expansion and growth, and 2, one being Leanne, and then the other one being Jana, announced late last year. So there's been a lot going on from a leadership perspective. But then secondly, around growing the business, growing the company, staffing. So we made a whole investment in a whole team, actually, of what we call business developers to get qualified advisors that we can share our great story with. And we'll talk some about our story and how that's transitioning. Mm-hmm. But those were the 2 things. And so financially, fantastic, great. But those 2 key things that I really wanted to do are paying dividends for us.
Yeah, so each one of the audience members, you all, obviously, majority of you own your own business as advisors, and I want to go a little deeper into that for like someone like Jeff. So when Jeff came into the opportunity to run Simplicity InsurMark, you get a lot of ideas that are coming at you. So how was that first year? And then when you really reflect on the first year to today, how does putting up a senior leadership team establishment change the dynamics of the company?
First, it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
Here come the ideas. You have external parties, external constituents. You think about it. You got our carrier partners. What really you focus on is what's implementable to get your short-term wins. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's kind of in your parking lot, you're kind of percolating on it. But with this leadership team, to answer your question, we can get more done faster. And our theme around here, I know you're sick of hearing this probably already, but I know you're also part of it. All these ideas come at you, but not all of them are executable. Yeah. Lots of good ideas. So our theme, E equals execute. Get stuff done. Mm-hmm. Podcast, children friendly, but get stuff done. And the more we can get done for our advisors, the better off we will be and hit our goals by being aligned with them.
And so as you fast forward to today and really just, we do events. We do a lot of events for advisors. Coming off Founders Club, we're recently coming off of that as well too. There's a lot that goes into putting on something like Founders Club. So for the advisors that are listening and they continue to run their business, but they feel like there's a bottleneck. So how do you even go about that process of finding key stakeholders, or finding the right people for the right spot on the bus?
For example, for like speakers at Founders Club or exhibitors and all, you trust your team. I will say, because this Founders Club that we just executed, which happened to be in Houston, mm-hmm. The theme hit us. You were in that meeting one day, and it's like, Houston, we have solutions. And we were bouncing ideas back and forth, and all of a sudden, the whole leadership team went, that's it. Mm-hmm. When you listen to your team, which is a team of people that you trust, and I trust this team explicitly, okay? The content was driven by them, because they're working with advisors, finding out what their struggles are. So Houston, we have solutions. What solutions do we have? We talked a little bit about artificial intelligence. We talked about hiring the next generation, so that it's kind of what we're doing here, an advisor can do themselves. What about their business? Mm-hmm. What sells for them when they're not there? You also had mindset, people that come in and are just really fantastic at setting the mindset structure. Hiring your best friend or hiring your children. There are obstacles that advisors have that came from this group of leaders that said, hey, I'm hiring my son, my daughter. How do I bring them into the business and not get caught up that they're my son or my daughter? Because mm-hmm. managing your son is significantly different. And it goes to what a mentor told me, don't hire someone you can't fire. Well, that's a tough dynamic around the Thanksgiving or Christmas opening presents when you got rid of your son or daughter. So to talk about how it's formed by the people actually working with our customer. Then there's a whole other travel team that gets people in and out. This airfare, economy here, first class there, booking hotel rooms, audio, visual. Then you get to the vendors. Well, who's going to come? Any Simplicity mm-hmm. partner can come. Mm-hmm. Simplicity vendors, our marketing team was there. Our Simplicity Wealth was there. So anything there, plus your carrier partners. And we view them all as partners. So moving in 120 people or so, it takes a village. And man, we've got a really strong team that does that.
6-figure investment, safe to say.
Times 3 or 4, yes.
So, and obviously we want the advisors to get the most they can whenever they come visit with us, because it's literally taken time away from their office. So we see it. I've talked to one of the recent guests here. He actually mentioned some of the ideas that he's heard from our Founders Club experience. He's put that and implemented it into his processes as well too. So as we really dive into 2026, and it just seems like it's a fitting type of conversation. We were recently at a meeting with all the ADCs out in Miami. So we were with our Simplicity partners. Powerful. And you and Jason took the stage, and you talked a little bit about from frustration to freedom.
Yes.
So what is that?
I think it fits an advisor no matter where they are in their career, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me go back. I'll take a little bit of a journey with you. Stick with me for a minute or two. So a lot of our advisors on the independent channel, which is where we are, came from the captives and the wirehouses. We surveyed advisors a year ago at Founders Club. Okay. And 72% of them had some form of lineage in the captives and the wires. And they got into the business that way. And that taught you how to sell. Here's your lead, go sell, report your lead to your manager. This very circular deal. But then when they find the independent channel, I can run my own business. My clients become mine. I have a little bit more freedom. Okay. Then that's very entertaining. And so then they move from the captives and the wires because they know how to sell and work a lead to this independent channel. But now all of a sudden, you're a business owner. So all parts of the value chain, you have the sales down, but now what about the operations? Who to hire? How to hire? What about the marketing? What about your website? What about how you're generating leads? So the very freedom that they wanted, the very independence, really causes great frustration when they don't have systems and processes. And one of the things we're pouring into advisors is, you know how to sell. You know how to do that. Let us help you build equity value in your business. Okay, that way that business now becomes an asset for you. And there's systems and processes that are definable and coachable that you can do that by.
Well said. And I want to say, definitely the rumbles after we left that meeting. Let's talk a little bit more about the broader picture here. So Simplicity. So Simplicity InsurMark today was roughly the 6 or so office purchase. We're now approaching 100 offices. So we're living and breathing in it over the last 7, 8 years plus. So how is that relatable to the advisors that we work with when it comes to coaching?
So it's crazy that there's no difference, if you think about it, and we've said this from main stage, in running a retail practice compared to a wholesale practice, other than who the customer is. Sales is sales. Marketing is marketing, although to different people. We market to advisors to entertain coming here. An advisor markets to a retail client. In operations, hiring the right people is the same no matter whether you're wholesale or retail. Having defined systems, key performance indicators, measurables, having a defined, simply put, system for managing. What is a system for managing? Some of our advisors, I'm really excited, have implemented these systems. It's a series of reports that lead to recurring meetings. And those recurring meetings build accountability and transparency. And just by having that within your business, whether you're wholesale or retail, you're going to move the needle. So how's it been going? It's been going excellent. Systems, processes, helping an advisor put these systems in place to where they have now freedom. And it's that freedom that Jason and I were talking about. Yeah, running your own business, you do it because you want to be independent and you want to be free. But now how can we give you more time back? How can we give you time to go plan, to structure your days to where you can still spend time with your families and not get eaten up by the business that just encumbers you so?
At the end of every year, it's a process of ours now, we've done for a while. We do our business planning, and it's fascinating as you actually articulate that message. A couple of my guys and gals come to my mind of the advisors of the evolution of them reaching out to us, just wanting to know, what is your monthly company meeting schedule? What is your weekly meeting schedule? So talk a little bit, I want to drill in on that a little bit, because I've noticed that the advisors that really start running it more as a business as opposed to a salesperson, talk a little bit more about that.
And one of the transitions we had to do as I go there, we had years ago, before we were acquired, we brought in outside consultants, spent a lot of money that we implemented what we're teaching. So we actually eat our own cooking.
Yep.
Okay. We had to determine whether we were going to be a family first business or a business first family. And we are opted to be a business first family. And so your system for managing is not any different for a retail advisor than wholesale. So I'll use ours as an example. There's a weekly series of meetings. For us, it's 8 a.m. Monday morning on a video screen. Don't be late. I always say that.
Yep.
Don't be late.
Don't be late.
And you guys are rolling that meeting at 7:59 or 8:00. And it's a 4-page agenda. And it literally has what did we do last week? What kind of business do we have pending across sales? We look at our marketing. Our whole marketing team joins us, and our operations. So that when we leave that meeting, usually by about 8:30 or 8:40, 40 minutes, everybody knows what direction we're going. We all know who had a good week. We know who had a rough week, who we need to be coaching into and pouring into. That right there is an informational and feedback meeting. And there's a difference between that and an accountability meeting. And I'll get there. Mm-hmm. So that's what we look like just as a team. Individually, each leader meets with their teams weekly. You meet with your whole team. So now you're reinforcing that message into them, taking the micro things that you can solve and fix. Monthly, there's accountability meetings. Mm-hmm. What were your numbers? How did they do? What were the forecasts? It's the same thing on a retail side. How did you do? So it gives a leader the visibility of all the pending on a dashboard so you can make good financial decisions or investments you need to make. But it also allows the individual consultant to come into you, their leader. Here's how I did. Mm-hmm. Here were my struggles, and it lets you solve it quickly. We do quarterly business review meetings. How did the quarter go? Because it's going to move up and down weekly, monthly. I get that part. But what did we look like over a quarter? In that quarterly business review, sales, marketing, and operations, everybody's reporting on their key areas. And then lastly, we do annual planning. It starts actually in September, so that when we're done by December the 10th, everybody go enjoy your holidays, because January 2nd, 3rd, however it falls, the planning's done. It's time to go execute and attain our numbers. So deeper dive of our system for managing. Our advisors that have implemented this are growing their business. They're bringing, one of them brought his son into the business, and you revert to your system for managing to lead your company. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be the loudest, most obnoxious person on the sales side. Just here's your numbers. How are you doing? Congratulations, you hit them. If you didn't, what corrective action can we take? Let's provide you more training. But ultimately, being a sales organization, got to hit your numbers.
Yeah, you got to hit your numbers. And that also goes into a lot of the resources going into planning, because a lot of the advisors are now coming off of that 60-day window going from business planning. So now it's execution. So that's literally why on that one pager we send over to advisors, it says action items, because we want to make sure that we are taking action. And interesting enough, I think we doubled, just based off the team alone of mine, the amount of waterfall reports we're running.
Oh, my favorite report.
Or not. So one of the things that's interesting is, and I'll let Jeff dive in deeper to the waterfall. One of the guys on stage during Founders Club is the one who brought the idea and concept to us of just running the business. And it's hard to predict your expenses of running a business without knowing not only the trends of where your business is going of revenue, but forecasting. So the waterfall report is essential. Every individual that is running their business off that waterfall that we send to, they're at least at or approaching goal every single year.
100% of them.
Yeah.
And because this report, and we'll be glad to take a deeper dive with somebody that wanted to, but this report from a sales leadership perspective, we've implemented it 10 years ago this year. Can you believe it's been that long?
No.
It's been 10 years. I was thinking about that this morning. So 10 years ago, we implemented this system. Yeah. And from a sales management perspective, it gives a leader or a salesperson immediate feedback. It's how did you do? How did you do compared to plan, your annual plan? How did you do compared to the same period last year? And one of the things we really picked up 10 years ago is there is seasonality in this business. And I'll talk about that here in a second. And then how are you going to do if you reforecast? And so reforecast in sales sometimes has a negative connotation, but I've actually seen team members reforecast up because they say, hey, I'm having a really good quarter. I actually think I'm going to blow through this number. And so this one report gives you those 4 key criteria that a sales leader, an employee, or a leader of a company can make financial decisions on. And we used to have this idea that, I can't forecast this. Yes, you can. Back years ago, we would take our annual goal by January and divide it by 12. We wouldn't hit the number in January. The term that our outside consultant would use with us is, don't set your hair on fire. Only 7% of your business historically pays out in January. So then we started taking our annual number at 7%, and nobody's burning the house down by February 2nd when we didn't hit the divided by 12 number.
Yeah.
So there is seasonality in the business. And this one report, from a sales leadership perspective, if anybody's running a sales department, this is the report you must have in your toolkit.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get alignment though? So for those that are running the reports, obviously maybe the audience only has one person in their office. So is it on the advisor doing that? Or talk a little bit about how if we've been doing it for 10 years, a lot of us have experience. Some of us started doing it later than others. So how do you even get it from Jeff's head into the right people?
Great question. Part of my leading and making sure the next generation of leaders really has this. And our 5 sales leaders have this down now. That's Tony, Randy, you, Seth, and Rob have this down. We can actually create some of these reports for certain level of advisors that can flow into their system for managing meeting report, because it's all a data function. But the power in this is now how to use that report. And what you don't do is just throw that report in front of somebody and go, tell me what you think. There's an art to, what did you think? How did it go? What went well? What didn't? So there's coaching that we're coaching into from a sales management perspective. And so, coming up on 10 years, the advisors that are using this, you mentioned it, as I think off the top of my head, I think every single one of them was up last year in a down market.
Yeah.
So the FIA type annuity space, some of that was down last year, not these advisors. And so the goal is to beat and gain market share just by having some systems and processes in place. They were able to do that last year.
And it's interesting as we continue to evolve, because you mentioned, so we're talking a little bit about sales. We talk about marketing, operations at that Founders Club experience. So some of the advisors, we hear it all the time of just, if only that marketing program worked, or if this one, I think this is the new one that's going to work. So when you have your numbers, it seems like things start to fall in place of knowing where the revenue's coming from, where the expenses are coming from, and then really expanding your brand. So for what you see from your seat amongst all the advisors that we work with, if you were to look at maybe our top 5, what's something that stands out amongst them outside of running a business, but what is something that separates them and seeing their consistent growth each year than probably some people that might not make Founders Club each and every year?
Phenomenal, great question. Number one, they know their numbers. They know their financial numbers for sure. They know if they were up or down there. They take time at the end of the year to do planning, and they plan with their staff. So it goes to, some people say, hey, I don't have time to work on planning. You don't have time not to. It's that phrase that we've used often around here. There's the working in the business, and you have to take time to work on the business. And when you work on the business, now you're scaling yourself. So there's only one Jeff, there's only one Jeremy. So an advisor can scale them and lean on your system for managing. Then you do your annual planning. Then you give everybody the ball to run with it, and you revert to your series of systems of reports and coaching. It actually frees an advisor up to do more of what they like, which is being in front of clients, or training their next generation of sales teams, which now multiplies them out.
Are you seeing from your conversations with advisors, I would say around advisors that are looking to embrace more on their brand, more on how they are getting in front of people in 2026, what are they looking to do that is outside of just the usual knowing your numbers? So really, we're going to take a deeper dive into marketing and branding, and business isn't the same today as it was 10 years ago.
Correct.
So what are advisors leveraging more for branding this year?
So first off, we have every tool, product, shiny object, itis. We get it too. So you mentioned just a minute ago, all the things that are coming at us. And advisors gets the same thing. Well, I've got this bonus, this cap, this rate, they stay focused. They stay focused on their numbers, which we've talked about. They stay focused to, I'm going to do my planning. I'm going to stay in front of my clients. I'm going to build in a marketing structure. How many advisors have implemented a kind of a contract adversary? Hey,
that's true.
You've been my retail client now for 5 years. Who does that? So how do you differentiate yourself? We have the great ability to share a lot of different ideas around roundtables. It's the one thing of hearing it, but it's totally different to go execute it and get your staff now to, hey, pull me a report. I'm going to call my top 10 clients this month whose first contract, AUM contract, life contract, annuity contract, was 5 years ago on this month. So what are they doing differently? They're staying in front of their clients. So know your numbers, stay in front of your clients. Number 3, it goes to the working on the business, does our top advisors do have vision, mission, key performance indicators, strategic intents? I was working with one of our top 2 just last week, and we were doing the iteration. What is your vision? And he's laying out just thoughts, and we're doing this iteration. Well, what about this? What about if we say it like this? We went through the same thing. It kind of goes back to frustration to freedom.
Yep.
Our deal here at Simplicity InsurMark is we want to help an advisor go from frustration to freedom. Then we can go from there. That becomes our rallying cry. So for advisors to make the connection there, does your staff know what you stand for, who your ideal client is? What's your vision here at XYZ Financial? Because if you have that vision and that mission, that keeps you in the guardrails. Mm-hmm. So everything is looked through the lens of, does this help us accomplish our vision here at XYZ Financial? Mm-hmm. So now, to your question on shiny objects, how do you keep shiny objects out? Does it help us accomplish our vision? And if it doesn't, it gets moved on. If it does, then we can adopt it, and then we put in sequences and adopt it more broadly. But if it doesn't help us accomplish our vision or our mission for our clients, it doesn't pass that test.
You know, it's interesting because one of the top offices we work with, it's embedded into what you just said. So they got one tagline, but every single person that is going to communicate with the client, they say that exact same tagline. So it's just consistency, and it just goes back to just being the standard, setting up your firm to make you stand out different from others. And going back to on that topic of standing out, branding, working client relationships. So how are advisors today? Marketing's different. So you can't just phone call and call somebody. I mean, nowadays, Amazon and Google are listening to us right now. So what all can we do today as financial advisors? What do you do in order to stand out in a sea of sameness today?
Oh, great question. So let me give you just one example. We all have kind of who we feel our competitors are. If I was to say, who's our biggest competitor, we'd probably rattle off 2 or 3 or 4 and how we're different, better, whatever. Same thing for an advisor, but it's really a broader answer than that. Who's your competitor? Your competitor is anybody that delivers any kind of excellent customer experience. And you just mentioned one of them, Amazon. Okay, yeah, an advisor's competing against other advisors from a customer experience. I want to be the other advisors. But if that's your only bar, you're losing. Mm-hmm. Your customer experience has to be like that of an Amazon. Hopefully our listeners have had good customer experience. But I can order something, it's on my door in minutes. My wife's on a first name basis with multiple Amazon drivers. So it's that experience. So who's your competitor, Mr. or Mrs. Advisor? It's everybody that delivers some form of customer experience. And if you set the bar that I'm going to have the best customer experience here at XYZ Financial, man, when the customer comes in, I know what their favorite drink is. I know what their favorite coffee is. I send them stuff on their birthdays. I thank them for their business, send them their anniversary cards. Those are table stakes now. So to your question, right person, right message, right time. That's important from a marketing perspective, and that'd be the marketing book. Well, you got to be at the right place, right? I get all that. But you also have to set the bar, which is where I'm going with this, that your biggest competitor may not be the financial advisor down the street. It's a customer experience that's delivered by somebody not even in the industry. Mm-hmm. That becomes your competitor.
Yeah, we had one of the ladies that spoke at Founders Club, and ironically enough, somebody forwarded me over this social media clip 2 weeks ago, and it talked about Chewies. If you remember.
Yes, I do.
Chewies for the dog. It's the dog food.
You remember the dog's name? Bear.
Is that what it was?
The dog's name was Bear. This food delivers, and it says Bear.
Yes, and so I'm not paid by Chewies, so they're getting they're getting some good promo here. So literally going back to like a client experience. So literally you get your dog food being sent to you on a monthly basis, and where Chewies just stands out a little differently is when all of a sudden they get that gut-wrenching canceled order, they assume something happens to the dog. So therefore they go and they figure out, so the story that we heard, so the dog's name was Bear. So Bear must have passed away. And so instead of Chewy's just taking the next step of just
was it just reactive?
Yeah, they went ahead and sent something to the owner saying maybe you can close out the story if you recall it.
Yep.
They basically would send out a letter to the dog owner,
Yep.
letting them know that, hey, we're sorry for your loss, something that maybe cost them $20-25 to do. But what do you think they just got out of that? Did they end up probably earning the next purchase of a dog? They're probably going to get back on Chewy.
You got it.
Do it, right?
You got it. And it wasn't just taking the order. So to apply this internally to a financial advisor practice.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, okay, I got to remove this. That's clerical. Everything we do looks through the lens of opportunity to serve somebody. Mm-hmm. And if that's our North Star, hey, I'm sorry about a passing. Here's something that maybe won't take the pain away, but something from the advisor. Mm-hmm. It's connecting the action item or the change in a CRM to remove bear in this example to, hey, an action item that went out. They have a client for life. The person presenting that said, I will now go back to them for life because of that.
And not to mention, probably tell their friends and probably tell their
Look at what we're doing now.
Yep. There you go, Chewies. Yeah. So for going back to so how you can stand out, and that really comes back to, yes, but it wasn't a computer that did that. It's a person.
Correct.
So a person hears that information, and then it's the action. So they're taken based off the core of who they are. You know what? This is what we're going to do. So this is the idea. We're going to go implement it. And hiring the right people is so crucial. So we talked about that at Founders Club. We have an incredible group that we've partnered with that we're utilizing. Our advisors are starting to utilize them as well. So talk about how that has maybe morphed, how we communicate as an organization, but how that could help advisors.
So there's a science to this, right? So God made me a certain way. He made you a certain way. And not only is it about hiring the right people for the mission, as we talked about in Founders Club, but it's also a communication piece. So if I can strengthen internal relationships, have better communication with a team, why wouldn't I want to use some form of science? Does it nail it 100% of the time? No, but it's probably 80% right. So how we use it is we use it, as an example, we showed at Founders Club our leadership team. We are type A and we are mavericks. We have ideas. Okay.
A lot of ideas.
And then we have Leanne and Jana, who are the implementers. They're the ones that get things done from all the idea people. But a strong team has all of that. Mm-hmm. But partly, we were in this meeting and we're like, that is Jeff. That is Jeremy. That's exactly right. So part of it's acknowledging what people's strengths are. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes a team better. So while they may not be the quote idea people, they're the implementing people that get things done. Okay, but that's the first part. So now it's that acknowledgement. Secondly, there's a great communication module. Certain people communicate certain ways, and we all do it differently. But the way we're wired, what will happen is I can look at my profile against yours. Let's just talk your profile. Okay. Lots of ideas. And some of the caution areas, okay, don't just have ideas that are out there unaccounted for. So it's not that every idea can be implemented. If you notice in our meetings, great idea, we're going to talk about that in 3 months. We're going to talk about that in 2 months. But that's that constant, I don't want to shut down ideas, but I also got to make sure they can be sequentially put into. Mm-hmm. So your strength as our maverick we've got several on our team, is out there going, hey, here's this thing. And you're filtering it through the noise and the shiny object. Yeah. So that's not my intent here at all. But hey, can we do these things? You're very innovative. You're very creative. Now let's get it to the people that can sequence it in within an organization. And when you have that whole team, that's what makes us better. And when an advisor has that, sometimes it's just the acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is the way, after we went through that, it didn't frustrate me anymore. They're like, that's the way we're made. And so from a leadership perspective, I use it not only to hire, it's only about a third of the hiring decision.
Yeah.
But the communication piece that we spent a lot of time on at Founders Club is probably one of the bigger things I even like it for.
Well, I mean, it goes back to just people in general, because you're investing all this time and effort into hiring someone. Then you're training this person. Yep. And then if you could have known from the get-go that individual was maybe someone who was just, they wanted something at the moment, but maybe not a long-term play.
Right.
But as the business owner, as one of the leaders of the company, you've invested and poured in all your resources and time into this person. that you just wish, man, if I would have just known maybe some, I forgot the phrase they used, the data. It's not emotional data. What's the actual term that the PI talks about? It's not your own. It's not your own. Your bias.
Correct. Your bias.
Yeah. So
what are your biases?
Yeah. So it's data driven. So you basically are emotionally not taking that decision of, you know what, I kind of like that person, but Jeremy's always going to like a Maverick.
Right.
So, but the data itself, talk about how doing little things like this, investing time and effort and resources into these decisions can maybe set you up for greater growth quicker.
I'll tell you one of the stories that was told at Founders Club by an advisor. So I'll tell you how we do it, but how an advisor that we shared this material with, he'd gone through several people. One person was a family friend. Now imagine that dynamic.
Yeah.
Here comes the family friend and they're really nice. They needed a job, but it didn't work out. So that compounds your friendship. It's very difficult. When we looked at their predictive index, that wasn't a fit for the position. Okay, he was hiring someone too much like himself. He didn't need another advisor. He needed somebody to implement and be a back office person. And there's a unique skill set on the PI that we share our back office with their permission, names removed. If you look at our sales part, we're top right quadrant.
Yep.
You're like off the charts, top right.
Yeah.
Okay. But then our admin people, the people that help support us, which are equally vital, there's no right, wrong, bad, good, or indifferent.
Yeah.
They're bottom left because they see things as, hey, I got to get tasks done, which is excellent for that. So when you're interviewing somebody like that, you're like, you're not going to work out here. But that's not the role you're hiring for. The role you're hiring for is different than you. So as soon as you realize this person's here to supplement me, to support me, and that doesn't mean they've already got one Jeremy, one Jeff. You need somebody on the opposite end to get stuff done.
And you know, as we fast forward into 2026, looking back on Founders Club 2025 and beforehand, we had people come in and really talk about below the line activities just to figure out maybe you shouldn't be doing all the decisions yourself. So this is the evolution. So this is the evolution of, as you are building an actual business, not just an advisor, you're building a business. In order to put the right people in place, that's our team can definitely help you out with the PI structure, as many heard out at Founders Club experience. And I think that's only just going to continue to evolve. So as we are wrapping up today, is there any final messages or thoughts?
Well, there's a lot going on between the years here. Post Founders Club event, we always have something going on. So we've got a contest for a number of different things that are out there. It's predicted to be a good annuity business year. And so we're looking forward to that. So we got our implementers getting stuff done to roll some new things out. On the life side, better products out here. We've got them all. To the AUM side, our AUM grew, and we started at Founders Club recognizing, if you think about it, it's really about asset gathering.
Yep.
And so we are honoring each line of business. So Simplicity Wealth, who were our top asset gatherers. On the annuity side, different side of the portfolio, we all know that. But then who are our top gatherers there? And then on the life side. And we had a phenomenal year in all three. And so predicted to be another big year. And I can tell you the first weeks of January here, really leading indicators, it feels pretty good.
Yep.
The second thing is our leadership team. We're moving faster, getting more done, hitting better numbers. So we're definitely implementing that. The hiring, hey, we're always looking for good, talented people to help us to attain goals and to continue to help us grow. It's all about growth. We are in a heavy growth mode. Both leadership structure, which is pretty passionate for me these days, as I opened up with, and really just to do the right thing by the company and continue to grow.
We are definitely not slowing down.
Nope.
So there's a lot going on here at this company. So thank you for your time,
having me,
Jeff. And thank you also to the listener for tuning in to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite listening device so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jeremy Hauser AMP and connect with us on LinkedIn. And remember, as you share this episode with a friend or a colleague in a world full of betas, be an alpha.